With players like Jarvis Landry, according to the Bleacher Report, along with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. The Browns also have Austin Hooper and Odell Beckham Jr. And, of course, the Browns don't necessarily need to be that sneaky. However, they could have a dangerous weapon in Rashard Higgins. And if Higgins and Baker Mayfield emerge with the kind of rapport they had 2 years ago, this team could be pretty tough to stop. In doing so, it would provide regular mismatch opportunities in 2020. So what has Rashard Higgins done when he's been here in the first 2 years? Well, in the 2018 season, he had 53 targets and 39 receptions. He had 572 yards, 4 touchdowns in that season, and of course he caught 73% of his passes that were thrown his way. All right, so Terry, what do you think? Rashard Higgins, kind of quiet last year. What do you think this year?
He's always been one of my favorite receivers because the first time I talked to Higgins, I asked him, I said, well, what kind of receiver are you? He looks me right in the eye and he says, I'm the catch the ball kind of receiver. Which actually he is. You know, he doesn't drop many in that. But when we talked about schemes and that, he is with the wrong team for this. The idea of it being a third receiver. When you're with a coach that likes to play 2 tight ends and even throw the ball in the back, the only way I see Higgins really mattering would be if, you know, they have a lot of injuries with Odell or Jarvis Landry. Now, it's good to have him because you don't know who is going to get hurt. And while Landry played every single game a year ago, the previous 2 years he had only been in 16 out of 32 games. So you need some depth there. But, you know, in terms of fit, I don't see a big fit. Basically, they brought him back in a minimum contract.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Jim in Florida. Hope you're staying safe down there. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, thanks, Les. Thanks, Terry. First-time caller, long-time listener. And I'm down in Parkland, Florida. I'm from North Royalton, but I follow you guys all the time.
Okay.
And
stay safe, please.
My question was for, you know, Rashard with Higgins. What happened last year? I mean, Terry, do you have any insight on that? Was it Freddie just didn't like him? And if that was just
basically,
something simple as
what
that,
happened, it started with an injury.
To say, hey,
in the middle of
my
the
guy
first
who I
game.
had chemistry with, get him on the field. I mean, what? Can you speak to anything of that?
Jim, I can help you with that. It started with an injury. He hurt his knee in the first game. In fact, if you remember, on the very first drive where the Browns scored a touchdown, first drive of the first game of last year, he had 2 big catches. Second quarter, his knee's bothering when he's out. Then he misses like 4 or 5 games after that. And then there's a debate on whether he told the coaches he was ready to go, and then game time came and said he wasn't, and they went around from there. And then it seemed like Freddie just like Freddie got into it with several other players, he got into it with Higgins. And Higgins also, as I mentioned too, when you have Odell and you have Landry, they're going to suck up all the plays for wide receivers, and the Browns were just hooked on getting the ball to Odell. And remember, I know there was one game Higgins came back and caught a TD pass, and some of it was coaching. But I do think the kind of the injury started everything going the wrong way there. And finally, you know, Freddie Kitchens, we go back and it was such a disaster because he was trying so hard to, you know, keep Jarvis happy, keep Odell happy. He knew he owed his job to Baker. You go back and you just look at everything from the formula of how he was hired went really bad. And Higgins was one of those. For my mind, I think, you know, if Higgins was needed to play this upcoming year, he can catch the ball. He's a solid receiver. I still like him.
Thank you.
But I do think go ahead, Les. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say it's interesting. In preparing for the show tonight, and we hear that you're not a big fan of Higgins, yet somebody needs to be one, because I know they have so many different weapons that they have, but when you've got Beckham in front of you and you've got Landry in front of you, somebody's got to be the number 3 guy. The number 3 guy can be the number 2 or number 1 really quick around here.
Right.